Welcome to Kermode Uncut. Last week I did a blog with Jack Howard about Duncan Jones's new film Mute, which has opened on Netflix and has really divided audiences. And Jack and I were talking about our different responses to the film. We've both seen it a couple of times and we were both sort of wrestling with the film. He doesn't like it as much as I do, but I still have certain issues with it. Anyway, there have been loads of responses to that blog from you. Here are just some of your reactions. This from Jan. I like Duncan Jones. Mute has stayed with me, so there is something worthwhile about it, but I'm niggled by it. I could give it 1 star for lots of reasons and 5 stars for others, which I think is a very astute comment. My theory is that Netflix may have given this too much artistic freedom, when in fact a more hands-on producer may have nudged Jones in a direction that would have streamlined the narrative and tightened it up. Jack and I did talk about whether or not it was a film that he had thought about too much or too little. One of the things that Netflix are doing is giving directors the freedom to do what they want. I mean, that's why you get movies like, for example, Okja, which other Hollywood studios aren't going to back. Certainly in the case of Mute, it looks like a film that has been made on very personal terms, and that's not to everyone's taste. This from GYCX. Really enjoyed and engaged with this film. Don't know why some say it's a bad film. It's dark, interesting, thought-provoking, and goes places you don't expect. And on the other hand, from Mick, complete and utter crap. That's a couple of hours of my life that I'll never get back. We said before that it had absolutely divided people, and there's been a lot of that. Some people really love it, some people really hate it. As you know, William Gibson is a big champion, but there have been some terrible reviews, particularly The Guardian, who gave it a 1-star review and really slammed it. This from WSV. Maybe the mere fact that you went back to see the film for a second time after initially not liking it answers your question. This was a question about whether or not I was being swayed by the fact that I'm a fan of Duncan Jones. Mind you, I recently went to see Lady Bird for the second time after initially not liking it. I only went back because of the positive reviews that it received, and they were so incongruous to my own thoughts. At least now I know that I really don't like it. And this from Mike B. I was asking about whether or not I am biased in favour of directors whose work I like. You do have a blinkered loyalty to certain directors and indeed genres, but everyone is entitled to their opinion. There are also loads of comments on the YouTube channel. This from Mansky. I saw Mute when it first hit Netflix and I'm still not sure about it, but it stayed with me and I'm still thinking about it, which is exactly the same way that I feel about it. I really love the design, the Berlin setting, and above all the audaciousness of the central idea, though it made me feel uncomfortable and I felt at times it was incredibly disjointed narratively. This really chimes with my response to the film. I mean, I agree with most of that. I do think it's problematic, but I also think there's stuff in it that has stayed with me and haunted me. And yes, there are things that make me feel very uncomfortable, but there are also things that I admire. Jack, on the other hand, felt very differently about it, and he watched it twice or 1.5 times and felt that he wasn't getting anything out of it at all. This from Will Harvey. Jack Howard is easily one of the most articulate film critics around. Should Wittertainment need a second co-host, I would be more than happy to hear his voice. And finally, this from Lizzie Booth. More father and son reviews, please.